to escape him. He's stronger than you. The suicide is too strong. You need to get out of here. Out of his way.
Senua Saga Hellblade II. This game is pretty interesting. I've been playing it for almost 2 hours now, and I have to say that there are some surprises in how the game looks, firstly, and runs. The game looks phenomenal, runs as well as you probably didn't expect it to. Like on the hardware that I'm on, and you can see the specs down in the description down below. But just to say that I'm strictly on AMD hardware in terms of the graphics processor, and while playing the game I was using FSR 3 balance mode, which for the most part seemed to achieve 60 FPS or somewhere along the lines of 50 to 60 FPS on our average through the 2 hours mark of my playthrough. So also the settings was on medium settings, and it was pretty good. The first had experience on a game that looks this visually impressive, or is very interesting how they managed to get it running as good as they did or have. But with that said though, like there are some parts of the game that currently that shocked me in a way that was a bit towards a negative sentiment. Whereas, meaning that within the first game, there are certain expectations of the combat. It's not the combat is bad, it's just that the combat is different. In a way where, one, it's a tad bit slower than the first one. It's really felt like it's a tad bit slower, it's not as quick or responsive. It makes you feel less like a superhero when you're playing, and more like is trying to struggle through the situation. Dodging is always in part 2. Dodging is a bit of not as swift either. You have to be very timey. You time it very perfectly when dodging. You can't just. I would suggest not to be spamming dodge just because the enemies are rushing you. It's best to just sit back, time the enemies, see when they're attacking, and dodge. One thing though, the parries for me at least was a bit hit or miss. There are times when I parry perfectly, and there are times when I miss the perfect parry. So I always end up in a situation where I'm trying to parry, but I just end up blocking. But those are some minor gripes in my opinion, because overall the experience of the game was very enjoyable, and I think because of those changes, it makes you feel like trying to survive feeling than in the first one, where you kind of had that feeling, but as you get used to the combat, third way through the game, you kind of pick your own style. So if you're somebody that probably preferred dodging in the first one, you would just generally just dodge, or if you parry, you parry. But in this one, it feels like you can't rely on one simple play style, because if you block too much, it seems like the enemy is, each time you block, it kind of stagger you in a sense, where it's not just block, go for the attack. It's almost like the enemies does have an impact on you when you block. So it's not a case we can just stand there and just block or try to parry and then attack. It's best you just use a combination of blocking, dodging, because there's certain attacks, to be honest, it should be dodging, it shouldn't be blocking. Like for example, when they come with a heavy attack in the first one, you probably could block it and there wouldn't be that much of a repercussion, compared to now. If you block a heavy attack, believe me, it is felt. You feel the character overall does. The time to respond is like drastically slower, so it's almost like you're trying to get her back up on her feet just to attack again. Unlike with the first one, if you get a heavy attack, I was like, heavy attack, and you ain't going for the attack. It wasn't that long of a period between getting the heavy attack and being a bit staggered versus getting back up, compared to now where it feels like when you get staggered by trying to block a heavy attack, it's a lot more difficult to get back up on your feet than before. Overall, like when it comes down to the combat experience, it is, for me, I picked up where it was keen that heavy attacks, try and dodge those as best as possible and time the dodge. Don't rely on swinging a lot either, because unlike the first one where the enemies will stand there and take your brutality, this one the enemies dodge you. They literally dodge you, and they're not dodging slowly, they're dodging very quickly and swiftly. It is best to use a combination. Don't just stick to one thing because it's not like the first game. You can stick to one thing and you can mostly make it out. This one, you stick to just attacking, you will miss a lot. So it's more focused. I mean, timing is very important. Be more strategic how you get through the combat than before. Before I said you could just rely on one style of play and just get through. This one feels like if you're attacking, you attack, but don't rely on attacking, blocking. Try to dodge, try to recuperate, and then try to get that perfect parry, but don't try to obsessively try to attack the individuals after you're staggering, because they would end up dodge you, to be honest, and very successfully they have been doing that. And again, the variety of enemies that I've came across so far, I don't feel like I'm that far into the game, because I've seen online where some people are saying that I spent 20 hours in the game. I'm wondering if that's actually a 20-hour story playthrough or 20-hour like they replay the game again. So I'm very curious to see. Nothing that I've seen has really mentioned the runtime of the game main story. So I'm very interested to see how much different enemies comes across in the game, because for now we have come across, I think, probably like 4 different types. Compared to the first one, that's a bit different. That's a lot different, because the first one, in the first 2 hours, we came across 2 different type of enemies. Overall, the first time experience of the game is totally incredible. For a game that looks this well, as I said, I'm very impressed how well it runs. The game looks great. And I can't just imagine how the game actually would look if I could actually go on ultra setting and play the game. It would probably look phenomenal. A more focused experience is always better, and you can tell that the more focused experience of this game does influence why it runs so well. All in all, the game so far, 2 hours in, is a phenomenal experience. I would recommend this to anyone who played the first game and interested. Check it out. Check out this one. Get Game Pass. It's totally worth it. Even just for the visual and presentation, totally worth it. And as I said, I'm playing on PC. I'm able to hit between 50 to 60, and there are not many times we have never. My recollection, in the first opening, there's never been a time where it drops below 50. And even if it did, it probably was like a very minor segment. The puzzle experience was, I feel like the puzzle is a lot harder now. I don't know why, but it feels a lot harder than before. Before it didn't feel this hard. In the first game, like, and I've been playing the first game recently. I've been playing it over the weekend just to prepare for this. So I thought it would be drastically similar in combat. Then to find out the combat is a whole different world of hurt that I have to kind of relearn how to really play. So it's not really muscle memory. Even though the blocking is still the same, but in terms of the movement, it does influence how or how different the combat can be. Puzzles are pretty good. There was one that I found that was a bit difficult, but I don't think it was like difficult. It's just that when I was doing it, it just stumped me at the time. Like one part of it stumped me, and I was like, I'm supposed to be here. Where is the thing that I'm trying to align? And I think that happens when you're dealing with environmental puzzles. It's not that big of a deal. And I know some people would say that the first one was a bit more difficult. I feel like this one's a lot more difficult than the first one. But overall, though, it's a pretty chill experience. And I know I haven't reached anywhere in the game to say that it's a consistently chill experience, because there's already times that I'm stressed out. And especially with the guys there's certain enemies in this game that creeps you out. I ain't gonna lie. And for a game that's not a horror game, it does teeter on horror. I think that's pretty good though. It's pretty good, and I think that's a pretty good balance for a game. All in all, it's a great experience, and so far the 2 hour that I've played is pretty good. I'm totally looking forward to doing a full review after I complete the game, so look out for that review. It's gonna be pretty interesting. Apart from that, thank you all for being here. Thank you for enjoying the content. You really pick up the game, and also tomorrow will be the first part of my gameplay walk. So with that said, thank you all for being here. Thank you for enjoying the content. Please leave a like on the video if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel for more content like this, and see you guys next time. Peace. Also, let me know if you guys playing the game. Let me know how you feel about the game so far. How far in the game are you?